Unemployed and Afraid acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this episode on and of the land where you, the listener, are tuning in from. We would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and extend our respect to any First Nations, Aboriginal, and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today, acknowledging that this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid, a podcast that explores the glorious mess of building your own business with the people doing it. I'm your host and fellow business builder, Kim Curtin. Thank you for being here. Let's get into some good, honest small business chat. Welcome, small business builder, or perhaps you're an aspiring small business builder, in which instance, big welcome, and wow, I'm so excited for you to take this journey. I'm not going to sugarcoat it though. It's a pretty wild one. Every now and then I like to share an update on my own small business, which is this wonderful podcast and brand. Myself as a creator and a writer, a creative strategist, a speaker, I seriously couldn't have any more slashes as a slashie. But anyway, I like to share and let you know how it's going, what I'm struggling with, all the good stuff. And at the moment, I'll be honest, I think the thing I'm struggling with the most is me and getting out of my own way. Now, I seem to suffer with an unusual type of perfectionism. Maybe you do too. See, I don't mind putting something out there into the world that quote unquote could be better if I had the time or the resources to make it better. So it's not that. And I think there is a real value in relatable content, despite all the glossy perfectionism that's out there influencing us all the time. It's that I think because I don't have a plan of action down on a page or some kind of strategy document prepared that I can follow as a guide, I don't get started. And I end up just kind of turning myself inside out between thinking that I need to sit down and write a plan and that urgency in just getting started because time is precious and rarely on my side and everything feels super urgent, like it needs to happen now. And action is actually my preferred way of doing things anyway, through instinct. So I think somewhere along the line, I might have convinced myself that if I haven't thought things all the way through, then it's probably not going to be good enough. Or I don't know, maybe I'm scared to just go for it because I don't want to embarrass myself if it's bad or it doesn't work out. Maybe I'm just too inside my own head because it's just me working on my business without anyone in the trenches to bounce ideas off or share tasks with. If you are a solo business owner, solopreneur, I feel you. It's hard. I'm also in the process of trying to secure a wonderful partner for this show, a brand that wants to provide value to you as a listener and support the show to grow and thrive. And I'll tell you, putting myself and this podcast out there for rejection is making me feel quite nauseous. So, I mean, like most things in business, perhaps tomorrow or next week will feel different. But right now, there's a lot of nausea. Perhaps it's time for another solo ep so I can give you all the feels. It is that mid-year point that we're releasing this episode, so it might be time. But as maybe you can relate to in some of these feelings, it's exactly why we exist here in Unemployed and Afraid, to create a sense of community for each of us on this challenging, exhilarating, sometimes isolating small business path. Community is such a big aspect of the life and the business of today's guest. It's the lovely Nicole Viney, an incredible jewellery maker out of Tasmania. And in today's chat, we talk about the storytelling aspect of making jewellery and how it builds connection, the power of community when you're at breaking point in business. Well, seriously, I love community so much. Taking a business investment from home-based to storefront, and Nicole's harrowing story of having her store broken into and her world rocked before rebuilding and pivoting yet again. If you're looking for inspiration, real feels, and priceless inspo for your own business building, you, my friend, are in the right spot. P.S. If you're listening on Spotify right now, have a look at your screen because there's this very cool new Q&A function where you can actually let me know your thoughts about the episode and the podcast in general directly. So do feel free to reach out with your thoughts. Now, I hope you enjoy this chat. I'm here with Nicole Viney, ethical handmade treasure maker and owner of Nicole Viney Jewellery. Designed and created in an intimate studio in Ulverston on the northern coast of Tasmania, Nicole Viney Jewellery offers a unique aesthetic that captures a freedom of spirit by reflecting the story of each individual piece of jewellery. Whether you're searching for a newly created bespoke piece or redesigning a cherished heirloom, Nicole understands that style is largely influenced and inspired by a love of the natural environment and all the beauty that surrounds it. And Nicole's corner of the world packs a natural beauty punch. Her original pieces are expertly fashioned using gems and stones that she's personally procured from across Australia, with the finished product reflecting her desire to break free of what modern wearable jewellery should be. Featured in Frankie Magazine, Lois Mag, Country Style and Home Beautiful, and on the bodies of thousands of lucky wearers, it's a business that's built on determination and resilience, with more than a few bumps in the road, which we absolutely can get around. Nicole, I can't wait to hear your story. Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. That's a very generous introduction.
You have a very beautiful business and such a beautiful visual business as well. So it's very important to make sure we capture some of that in this glorious audio forum.
Yes,
now,
definitely.
Tell me, before we kick into the good stuff, before we get into all about your business, I would love to know how your husband, Luke, would describe you.
Messy. Messy and creative and spontaneous, I suppose.
Do you think some of those things go hand in hand, the creativity and the spontaneity and the messiness?
Yeah, definitely. Like I wouldn't be me without those things. So yeah.
I love that. I feel like being messy with jewelry makes me a little bit nervous in terms of gemstones. I'm sure you've got some systems.
Yeah, I do. I know where everything is, like regardless of how untidy it may appear. But if I clean up my bench, it's like the worst day ever.
This sounds a little bit like my life. So before you were a jeweler and a business owner, who were you?
I actually was a jewelry salesperson. So I started my career as a junior jewelry salesperson, and I worked in hospitality and pulled beers and waited tables. And yeah, I still love hospo. I'm waitressing a wedding this weekend. So it's just a bit of fun.
I love that. I love that you're just, picking up a little gig just as a successful business owner, just still picking up a little gig on the weekends. Like if that's not a hustle, what is? It's awesome.
More like my friend is a business owner as well, and she needed some extra staff and she pulled me back in. I used to work for her like many years ago. She's like, you don't fancy a waitress? And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. I've got nothing on.
That is absolutely brilliant. Was entering jewellery as an industry always on your radar from when you were younger?
No, definitely not. No, I didn't even know you could be a jeweller. Like it was completely accidental. It's a career created through curiosity for me. I worked as a junior and I used to go and pick up our repair work from our master jeweller who was off-site and doing our trade work. And I was just so intrigued by his workspace and what he did and how he went around, making jewellery and that kind of thing. So every time I'd pick up work, like the jobs for my retail business, I'd be asking questions. So yeah, it was just really curiosity that got the better of me.
Wow. And was there any study associated with getting involved in this industry, or did you just go straight into it?
For the apprenticeship that I did to become a jeweller, yes, that was 4 years of the apprenticeship, 3 years being at TAFE, and TAFE was in Melbourne. So I'd travel from Devonport to Melbourne a week a month for 3 years. And yeah, it was really hectic. It was quite demanding and yeah, a lot of travel. I thought I would love it, but it ended up just being really just like would run me down.
What was it like to make your first piece of jewellery and what did it look like?
Gosh, that's a long time ago now. It was probably just like a classic rounded band. Yeah, I think I was really proud. I still get a kick out of selling my own work. So I think I was like elated when I sold my first piece that I'd actually made. So that feeling never goes, I don't think.
No, I can understand that. I remember the first piece I sold of my ceramics when I was making ceramic pieces, and it's just like, hang on. I actually had my hands in that product that was like, squishy mud, and I formed it into this thing, and now somebody's paid money for it. It's in their house. Like, what do you mean?
It's still a bit crazy that people will come and just pay me thousands of dollars to make them something. It still baffles me a little bit.
Well, they are very beautiful pieces. So tell me about deciding to create your own brand and your own line of jewelry, I guess, and starting to get to the stage of where you might think about making it a full-time business.
Yeah, that sort of happened out of necessity, really. I was working for Rob, who was my master jeweler, and we'd had our children, and it was just really tricky trying to juggle going to work and the kids being sick all the time because they're in daycare and that kind of thing. And Rob and I needed different things from each other. He needed someone who was reliable and I needed flexibility. There was no meeting in the middle at that point. So I decided to start working from home. And that wasn't easy. We had a bit of a relationship breakdown over that. But yeah, I started working in my little wooden shed and just hustling a little bit, and I'd be stoked if someone wanted to have something made with me. So yeah, it was just out of necessity, really. I needed some more flexibility.
How did you start to find customers? Where did you meet people through and how did they find you?
I'm really social, so I network a lot and I've met a lot of people and got out amongst the grapevine that I was working from home and people would come and see me at home. And yeah, it was just really word of mouth that really got me started.
Do you remember the first person who asked you to create a wedding ring or an engagement ring?
Yeah, so we were living in Stanley at the time, and my first big wedding ring as a solo maker was a friend, and it was a $3,000 ring, and I was just like, oh my God, like so much money. And I remember that process. I was a little bit daunted by it. I had no one to talk to about it. I just had to nut it out and make it work.
What were some of your biggest challenges in those early days? So before you started to get into your brick and mortar space, what were some of the challenges just getting off the ground?
Working from home is a huge challenge. I had 3 children, they're all toddlers, and trying to get work done without them touching things, getting hurt in the workshop, or just really juggling being a mother and working at the same time simultaneously was a hurdle. And I think my turning point was I had a client there at my kitchen bench and we were talking pink diamonds. It was potentially like thousands of dollars. And my daughter just started painting herself, and the back door, she was like green. She turned into Kermit the Frog. And I just like went and locked the door and continued on. I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. I'll deal with that after.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. So you're having a very serious adult conversation about expensive pink diamonds and your daughter's covered in green paint.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you're not coming inside.
Oh, wow. And where did you get started then thinking about taking your business out of the home and into your own space?
Well, I used to shop at this really beautiful clothing boutique, and they'd just closed off their menswear section and had this available space. So they offered it to me as a pop-up space for 3 months over Christmas trading period. And I deliberated on it for a while and I was like, oh, it's a pretty big step, but it's only 3 months, so I can do this. It probably took me 6 months to get everything together to have this pop-up shop. And the thing I didn't realise, it wasn't a pop-up shop. It was going to be permanent, and I really wasn't prepared for that. So that was everything learning on the fly.
Tell me more about that. How did it become permanent?
Well, like I opened for the Christmas trading period and it was just so busy. There's really like a demand for repairs, remakes, engagement rings, custom made engagement rings. There's not that many jewellers that can offer that in Tasmania. There's probably a large handful of us and that's about it. And there's nothing like that in Ulverston, the town that we live in. So I sort of just hit the ground running and it just like exploded. And I was working, 90-hour weeks trying to get the most out of my time in that space. And then it just didn't stop. It just kept going. And at the end of that time, I'm like, I couldn't close the doors even if I wanted to. Like there's just too many people coming in, wanting things made. And I was drowning in work there for a while.
Wow, isn't that always the case? Or isn't that sometimes the case when we start something with a business thinking this might just be a little thing. This might be something that I do for a minute. And then all of a sudden it goes, no, I've got momentum. I'm ready to go.
If I had have known that this would have been the outcome, I probably wouldn't have made that step because it was probably too huge, too massive. I wouldn't have wrapped my head around it. I think it just naturally evolved and grew and I had to adapt and grow with it.
What were some of the scary moments that happened through that time, some of the biggest learnings?
Yeah, I've had some negative experiences along the way. Like I've had some people that weren't truly in my corner and trying to sabotage things and that kind of thing. So that was a big learning experience, and I didn't really have boundaries set in place either. So being taken advantage of was a big learning curve. But with help and guidance from friends and professionals and that kind of thing, I learned to put boundaries in place and know what my value is and not to give it away. So then COVID happened. That was a big challenge. Everyone's had experiences with that. I was able to just lock the door and keep working. So it didn't really affect me negatively as such. It gave me an opportunity to catch up on work because I didn't have to stop and start all the time. So in the scheme of things, it was probably a positive for me. And then, I was able to put on an employee, Sarah, who's just amazing. So she really helped put systems in place and became the gatekeeper and the goalie. So people come and she will see them and then it will come to me. So she helped me develop strategies and systems and procedures, which I had none of. It was just lucky dip. Who's hounding the most, and I'll do that job first.
Yeah, I think that was probably an experience many people can relate to when it's just you doing something. You have the vision of creating all of the systems and processes that you know will help you do your business better so that you can just create whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's physically creating something or just running and scaling up even a service-based business. But trying to get to those systems is so hard.
And my brain just doesn't work in that way. Like if you show me how a system works, that's completely fine. I can do that. But creating systems and making them work efficiently, that's not my jam. I can't do that. That's not how my brain functions.
I can relate to that quite well. So at this stage, before you brought on Sarah, talk me through some of the practicalities of the setup of your business. Because I'm envisioning in my mind, I mean, you must have so many overheads in terms of products and things you need to create and have on hand, how you create it mechanically, insurances, running of books and things like that. Talk me through some of that in your industry, how that works and how you managed it and what some of your learnings were.
In the early days, it wasn't great. To get off the ground, we had a personal loan that we prepaid some money back. So I essentially just pulled that money out and bought stock, silver, gemstones, gold, that kind of thing, and mostly created silver pieces because I could make more for the small budget that I had. The shop was essentially all secondhand furniture and it had a really beautiful boho-y vibe, a really eclectic little space. And, I bought a new cabinet as I could afford to and, updated things. Yeah, the overheads were quite minimal in the old space. So I sort of just got through. I was insured and then I got broken into almost 2 years ago now. And my insurance didn't cover me because I wasn't insured sufficiently. So there was a loophole there and I didn't know. I was too busy and I just didn't know. So I essentially lost $30,000 in stock and damages. So that was a big learning curve emotionally and business-wise. So just a few curveballs along the way.
Wow, that would have been a stomach-dropping moment to have, I assume, received that call or that information.
Yeah, I got a call from the police early hours of the morning and my heart just was in my stomach. We live 5 minutes in the next town. And the drive here, we had to get all the kids out of bed and pull them out of bed and chuck them in the car because my husband wasn't going to let me go to a potential crime scene alone. So, it was scary for them. They are scared now if I get a call from the security company and that kind of thing. Yeah, that was an experience. But in saying that, I've never felt so loved by my community at the same time.
How did they rally around you to help you rebuild?
Well, I don't think I've sold as many candles as I did that week. Everyone wanted to buy just something. I sell crystals and candles and that kind of thing as well as my gift lines. So I think I sold so many crystals. I sold so many candles. People brought coffee. Sarah and I were standing in the middle of the glass just everywhere. And this man was out walking and he literally popped his head in the smashed through door. He's like, looks like you've had a bit of a rough morning here this morning. And we're like, yeah, no, it's not great. He's like, what do you drink? I'll go get you the coffee. And like we both just started crying.
Oh, I think people really underestimate the power of just that, just acknowledging somebody's struggle or acknowledging somebody's pain in the moment and being like, not trying to fix it, just you look like you're having a rough one. Here's something small I can do for you. I think that is such a lovely thing that person did. It goes a mile, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And he'll come in and check in, every 6 months or so to see how we're going. We're just little things like that just warms your heart. And one of my clients, he's a glazier, and I sort of rang him and he's like, don't even worry about it. I'll get my guys there in half an hour and they'll clean up, and you just don't even think about it. It was 2 or 3 months before he sent me the invoice because he knew I needed to get back on my feet.
The world just
stuff
needs
like
more
that.
people like that. That's just so lovely. And, being able to chip in and buy something little here or there, because that's significant. Losing $30,000 and not, especially when you pay for insurance, and then to realise that there's a loophole in there, that must have been really frustrating.
It was a kicker. Definitely was a kicker. And that's also what created my need to purchase my own property. So my husband and I bought this studio, and there's security systems and that kind of thing that we've put in place that I wouldn't have put into somebody else's property because it just costs too much. Like I've spent $30,000 or $40,000 on security here in this new space so that we are feeling safe and confident that it may happen again, but we're going to make it as difficult as possible for them. So we wanted to invest in our safety, so we've done that.
So you have bitten the bullet and purchased your own store now. Wow, that's a bit of a level up again. It's been an up and up and up since the backyard warehouse.
It's literally from the woodshed to this beautiful space. Like we had sort of 8 weeks to get the studio just how we wanted it. Our first port of call was to contact this beautiful mural artist, Ree Bloom in Hobart, who did our beautiful mural here.
Yeah, and right behind you there. It's stunning.
It's absolutely gorgeous. It was something that was a bit of a pipeline dream. We thought there's no way she'd be able to fit us in. And then she's like, yep, going to have a baby really soon, so we need to get it done kind of quickly. So getting this wall in and painted, ready for her to put this mural up was on our high priority list. I just really created something that's just beautiful and feminine, but not overly girly. So we've got sort of a terracotta kind of palette, rustic bricks and that kind of thing.
And what role has online played for you in your business?
During COVID, it was really good because we didn't have a retail presence and we weren't open. Every time someone would buy something online, I'd be like, just thank the Lord. And, it was just, you could cover things that week when something was sold online. We are still trying to boost that, and slowly we have. It's a lot harder than people think to capture the right audience. We've just upgraded our website just in the last 6 months, and that's sort of created a lot more confidence for people to buy larger items online. So usually would sell lots of sort of smaller things, but now people have the confidence to buy a larger engagement ring and that kind of thing. So it's not every week, but, it's often enough.
Has that allowed you to play a little bit outside of your community as well?
Yeah, so particularly with our advertising campaigns with Country Style and Home Beautiful, we've really captured a great audience in New South Wales. And we are getting a lot more online orders from afar and custom makes by correspondence. And we're about to start a campaign with Travel Waves here in Tasmania. So we're really excited to see what happens there and get a bit more tourist, savvy and that kind of thing.
Has it been a bit of a jump for you when you're sort of in creative mode, you're making beautiful jewelry, you're doing your thing, and then you're like, oh shit, I've got to market this. Like I've got to actually, get campaigns up. I've got to think about how I market myself, how I present my brands, all of that. How has that experience been for you?
I really enjoy that actually. Like it's a way that I can be creative without being on the bench. And so it's just another way to express my jewelry, but more visually. I'm really lucky that one of my really good friends who I went to high school with is an incredible photographer as well. So he has helped us with our biggest advertising campaign of the Venus collection. And we're just about to do a shoot now for the Homage collection. So Wild Bond, he's just absolutely stunning imagery. So I'm excited to work with him again.
How special. Are you working on anything new at the moment? Is that your new line?
The Homage collection is our next big collection. They're just more simple pieces, so just little Tassie pendants, but they're topographical. So instead of just being a straight blank bit of metal, they peak and trough in the correct areas. I've had them available for maybe 6 months and they've been really, really popular. And then a little newer piece is the new Vegas pieces. So we're going to shoot them up at Cradle in the turning of the Vegas. So I'm excited to see how that comes together.
What a special time of year. Anybody who hasn't been to Tassie or doesn't live in Tassie or doesn't know what turning of the Vegas is, give it a little bit of a Google and check it out, just how stunning and special this time of year is in Tasmania. And just those gorgeous leaves are like nothing you've ever seen before. They're amazing. I'm really interested in, you've had this experience of building your business now. I mean, so many ups and downs. What has it taught you about yourself?
It's taught me that I always knew I'm resilient, but it's really tested me. And to think on the fly, like I've had to come up with solutions and ideas at the drop of a hat. I've had to pivot and change direction so many times. So it's really just taught me and reaffirmed that I can't ever get stale in this industry because there's always a new challenge. There's always something new to learn or to do. I love a challenge. I've been in this industry 20 years now, so I thought I would get bored, but it's just only beginning.
That's so nice to hear because I think, sometimes I wonder how the creative juices work in the one field just to kind of keep it going. Do you ever have to dig deep for a little bit of creativity? I mean, 3 kids, can I just say as well, 3 kids and running your own business alone is like, we were talking offline before we hit record about your morning and just what you have to get through in order to just get to your place of business and on a podcast recording is pretty hectic. I mean, how do you keep building and how do you keep, staying creative?
I've learned to take breaks when I need them. Like I've become really good at recognizing when I need a break. I will close on Mondays. I never open Mondays. It's always been like that. I need that time for myself. I need to do things at home and you get ready for the week and all of that and have my own appointments. So Mondays are just my day and people don't like it, but I've got to do that. And I don't know, I just want to experience everything. So I just hustle and I love getting up early. I never used to. I'm a night owl, really, but if I want to steal time for myself, it's got to come from the morning because I just can't make it work in the afternoon. So going to the gym at 5 o'clock is when it happens. And, we have a great crew of like-minded people that would all inspire each other. And, we do surf club as a family and, my kids are nippers and my husband and I row surf boats and it's just so fun and rewarding and we give back to the community that way too.
Wow. I can see that community really plays a very big role in your life and in your business.
Oh, yeah. Like I love being a part of our community. When you're able to give back as well, like I love giving. So,
well, I think you'll have to be careful with that with some of the beautiful things that you could give if you wanted to.
I know everyone hits me up for a raffle donation.
Yeah, I was going to say, a birthday time comes around, everyone's rubbing their hands together. Yep. Let's invite Nicole to the birthday party.
Yeah. I'm going to try really hard not to do that because, otherwise it will become expected.
Absolutely. What's challenging you at the moment? What's your biggest challenge for your business right now?
Oh, well, I just put on an apprentice last week. So that's huge and exciting and extremely nerve-wracking. It's been a decision I've been deliberating on for probably a year now. So Riley is at trade school at the moment and she'll have her first day in the workshop next week. So, that's our biggest challenge. And Sarah and I just did some workshop learning how to use computer-aided design. For me, that's like a completely foreign language. I work with tools all day. I don't do computers that well. So that's something that I'm thinking about moving into. It's definitely the future of jewellery and production and that kind of thing. But I don't want it to be my focus either.
Where do you want to see your incredible brand grow to?
I don't really know. Sky's the limit, I think. Every year something new is I've done. So I have no real expectation. I just want to see where it goes naturally.
Amazing. What's been your favourite piece that you've made so far?
My favourite piece. I've made so many, I can't choose. I made this really beautiful opal ring, and I was like, if this doesn't sell, it's mine. And then it sold, and I'm like, bugger. I love opals. I'm a bit of a hoarder and a bowerbird, so it's easy to do.
And I can see you're already been wearing some amazing pieces right now as we're chatting on our video call. I'm jealous. I have none on at the moment. I'm quite a low jewelry person. I think I wear like one ring and one pair of earrings occasionally. So I'm always talking with my hands, and I'm so afraid that they're going to fly off. So it's so nice to see your beautiful pieces and to hear a little bit more about your incredible story as well. I do remember seeing when your store got broken into on Instagram a little while ago, and just seeing how intense that experience must have been for you.
Yeah, it was really intense.
Yeah, seeing that you're, growing through that and everything is just, going gangbusters. You have an incredibly engaged community on Instagram as well that you're communicating with. So I imagine that's been a big part of your strategy, that sort of community building as part of what you do in person.
It's really important to create relationships in this industry. Like, you're dealing with a lot of value and valuable things, not just monetary wise, but sentimental. So I hear the most amazing stories, like so beautiful and just incredible stories, and really heartbreaking ones too. So people are comfortable sharing these really personal moments with me. So we do create a really beautiful relationship. And that's a part of the storytelling aspect of making jewelry for them too. So they want, things to be included in like their ring or their pendant or whatever. And to the untrained eye, it might just be just another gemstone, but for these people and my clients, that represents like, their lost child or their husband. Oh, and sharing like the experiences from engagement and how they're going to propose, and have they thought of any, secret locations they're going to do it. Being privy to that information is so exciting. Like, we hold the secrets of so many people, and, just to know, like, can't speak to that person down the street just at the moment, because then people might catch on that we've been talking. And trying to keep that relationship progressing. It goes to the wedding rings, and then to the birth of their first child, and their anniversaries and milestone birthdays. So people will always know that they're welcome to come back and share that journey.
How special. Gosh, that I would be terrible at keeping that secret. I'd be like waving frantically like, hi, got any plans tonight? So you're doing very well.
I had to keep a secret for like a year and a half once of one of our friends, and that nearly killed me. I was just like, are you ever going to do this?
Oh God, that would have been so challenging. Nicole, I imagine that your business is only going to grow bigger and better, and that particularly now that you are advertising yourself, people can experience your work all over the world through your website. That's really, really exciting. But my last question for you is, what can the listener and I do to support you, to help you grow?
Just keeping engaged on the socials. Like, I love seeing people's comments and tagging people that might like something in my social media, sending people images of my work, and just supporting online is like amazing. Yeah, I really love seeing people's comments.
I am the biggest advocate, and if those who've listened to me for a while, the biggest advocate of getting around people on social media, because unless you're running a business, you forget how hard it is to reach people, how difficult it is to start something new, and how just the simple act of if you're spending a little bit of time scrolling through your phone, yes, it's a way to escape for all of us. It's a distraction, it's entertainment. But to just go, oh, someone's posted something, oh, let me just like comment or whatever, just drop an emoticon or drop anything under. Right. It's so easy to do, and not be like, oh, they're doing really well. Look at that thing they're posting. Like, nah, get around it, because it is like, it's a community in digital form. And unless we do that for each other, it's just virtually impossible to grow in that space. So yeah, big advocate for that. And I'm going to make sure to have the links to your Instagram. Are you on TikTok yet?
I do have a TikTok account, but I'm scared I'm going to get caught into the vortex and not get any work done.
I can tell you it is a vortex. I try so hard to stick to the create before you consume rule, and I don't at all.
No.
I'm like, oh, quick look on TikTok. Yeah, maybe today will be the day I'll post something. Nope, I'm just 20 minutes gone. So yeah, it is a bit of a vortex.
You get me with a funny animal video and I'm gone. Like, I'm off in a tangent of funny cats and dogs doing stupid things and emus and whatever. Like, I will get lost.
Totally understand. So we perhaps will leave your TikTok out of that. So
Yeah.
we'll put your Instagram in there, your website as well, so that the listener can get around you, support you, and help you grow. Nicole, your work is just unbelievable. And I'm so grateful that you spent a little bit of time with me this morning to share your story and your journey about how you got here and how it's been for you. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And after we pressed stop on the recording, Nicole told me a beautiful story that I wanted to share with you. It's a story about Rob, who she apprenticed for in the very early days. And she mentioned some challenging times back then and subsequently going their separate ways. But they've now actually come back together after Rob semi-retired, and they have now redeveloped their working relationship into a super strong dynamic that sees Rob working in Nicole's business. And I just think it's a beautiful example of the way in which professional relationships can develop and redevelop, and our community can grow and change in many different ways when it comes to small business. You just really never know how these things we build will grow and change. One quick thing, if you're hearing this, you've listened all the way through. Hopefully that means you really like this podcast, because it's pretty generous to give up 40 odd minutes of your time for it. If that is the case, please leave the show a star rating and a review. It helps me reach so many more people who might also listen all the way through and get some benefit and some support out of it. Not to mention, it puts a real spring in my step to read them. Thank you for listening to Unemployed and Afraid, the podcast for small business builders with your host, me, Kim Curtin. If you love it, you can say thanks with a star rating and a review. And of course, join the community on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Find us at Unemployed and Afraid wherever you're hanging out, and I'll see you there.